right?
Hello there, I'm John Keeling. I'm the head brewer of Fuller's Brewery in Chiswick, and we're stood in our fermenting area. We have our conical fermenters and closed fermenters over there, and we have our historical fermenters here which are no longer in use, but we like to keep them there to remind us of where we've come from.
We've talked a bit about Fuller's being a larger microbrewery, but also hanging on to valued traditions. Could you speak about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, Fuller's obviously have a long history and has been brewing on this site for over 300 years, although we've only been Fuller, Smith and Turner since 1845. So we've got all those traditions to reach down into. And the beer that we produce the most of is cask English ale, which is the most sort of popular of all our beers, but also a very specialised beer and a very traditional beer. Beer has been served in cask for hundreds of years in Britain. Fuller's is based in London. In fact, we're really one of the very few London breweries left. We're the biggest London brewery left, that's for sure. And London brewing in the 18th century was really the capital of the world for brewing. And now it's reduced to a brewery the size of Fuller's. But we keep the tradition of brewing going. We have modernised and we use modern equipment now, as you can see from around you, and that modern equipment gives us consistency and quality, but the character and the flavour of the beer comes from the character of the people we employ, the brewers we employ, and also they dig back into the tradition of how we make beer to make sure that the flavour and character is always there. As each head brewer retires, he hands over the standards and values to be kept by the next head brewer. And the head brewer prior to me had been a brewer with Fuller's for 40 years, over 40 years. So he did understand the values of Fuller's. I have only been a brewer with Fuller's for 28 years, and I've been the head brewer for 10 of those years. So I'm still relatively new compared to him, but I do understand the values. And one of my jobs is to find the next head brewer of Fuller's, who I hope is already working for Fuller's, so that he or she will take those values and standards from me to pass it on to the next one. And that's how we maintain tradition.
Could you tell everyone who's not familiar with cask ale about what cask ale is, how it differs from a traditional kegged beer, and what are your most popular cask ales?
Okay, well, to answer the question about the most popular cask beer, the most popular cask beer for us is London Pride, and that's because I think it's got great drinkability, so that people, when they've had one pint, like to have another. And I think cask beer in general has great drinkability as well. Cask beer is probably the least processed beer that you can buy, and therefore the most natural beer that you can buy. There's no filtering, no pasteurisation involved in the production of cask beer. Beer is taken from fermenter with live yeast in there, put into a maturation vessel for a couple of weeks, still with live yeast in there. It's then transferred into cask with live yeast, but at that point we add a substance called finings, which encourages the yeast to sediment to the bottom of the cask. Only when the sedimented yeast has fallen out of the beer do we serve the beer, which therefore should be nice and bright above that sediment. And therefore it's the least processing and the most natural tasting beer you can buy. It's also probably got the world's least shelf life. Because of that, cask beer will only last about 5 weeks, and therefore it cannot really be exported around the world. You have to drink it close to the location it was made in.
So if someone comes to London and never had cask beer before and they want to try a really exceptional cask beer from Fuller's, how do they go about finding your beer, and what should they look for?
Well, it's easy to find. I mean, all Fuller's pubs will sell Fuller's beers, so you should be able to find a Fuller's pub in London. Just visit our website, all the addresses are there, the nearest tube stations, those pubs, so they're very easy to find. When you go into the Fuller's pub, it's probably best to start with our most popular beer, which is London Pride. Order yourself a pint. You will find it generally less fizzy than bottled beers, so don't expect it to have that sparkling effervescence. But what you will find is that once you've got 3/4 of the way through that pint, you find it will not fill you up as quickly. Without doubt, drinking cask beer is an acquired taste. And all I would say, that if you struggle to acquire that taste in your first pint, I would suggest that for your 2 weeks visit to London, you go to a Fuller's pub every day and drink 6 or 7 pints every day. And by the end of your visit, you will truly love cask beer. I will guarantee that.